What's up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Alright, today's video, we're going to be talking about Punisher number 5 and 6 by Jason Aaron, Paul Acezeda, and Jesus Saiz. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly what is the Archpriestess of the Hand and why Ares hates this new version of the Punisher who leads the Hand and wants the old Punisher back. And we're also going to talk a little bit about what is the one thing that Frank Castle wants back that the Hand cannot give him.
You can't see me, you Stevie, wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
So when last I talked about the Punisher, one of the things that happened was that Punisher had seemingly killed the Archpriestess and maybe even a number of other members of the Hand and was trying to escape with his recently resurrected wife, Maria Castle. It was left largely ambiguous as to whether the Punisher did or did not kill the Archpriestess, but as we learn, he actually did cut down the Archpriestess, cutting her nearly in half. But this is where we learn more about what's up with the Archpriestess. She's not a normal person by any stretch of the imagination. When she's cut in half, she doesn't just dissipate like a normal Hand ninja. A lot of times when the Hand are killed, they usually end up rotting or disintegrating, turning into a pile of bone and ash more often than not, depending on how long or how bought into the Hand they normally are. And it's also up to the writer's discretion a lot of the times as well, or even sometimes the artist's discretion. But one of the things we learned in Punisher number 5 is that the Archpriestess is not so easily taken down. When Castle cuts her in half, she ends up turning into this monstrous Cthulhu elder god-like creature, a mass of meat, teeth, and tentacles. No longer a sadistic, smiling human, but just a screeching monster. One that Frank is still able to kill, and even though he does, one would think that, oh, well, now the Hand's gonna turn on him, it's over. This is a wrap for Punisher's time as the fist of the beast. The Hand will surely try and kill him now, and that's not the case, because the Hand has greater plans in mind for the Punisher. The Hand simply stand aside. They bow before him in deference. They allow him to leave the compound, and the reason why they're letting him leave the compound, just as there's magics and rituals and incantations in place that would keep one from being able to find the Hand's secret compound on that island if they do not wish for that person to find it, it's also virtually impossible for anyone they don't want to leave. Unless you are specifically wanted there or invited there, you are not able to find that compound. One of the other reasons why Frank is not going to get out isn't even just because of Hand magic. They actually do allow him the ability to leave. The problem is that he won't leave, and the reason why is because of Maria Castle. Maria Castle has been resurrected, but she's not fully cooked yet. This is something I've kind of wondered about ever since it was revealed that Maria Castle was resurrected. The Hand were using her as a bargaining chip to keep the Punisher on their leash, but now that he feels like he could just take her and leave, that's not actually true, because since the rituals that keep her alive have not been finished, whenever she leaves the compound, she starts to feel sick. She starts remembering how she died all those years ago when the Maja gunned down her and their children. She starts to die. Now, the reason why the Archpriestess has put all this into place is not even just to keep Punisher on a leash. The thing is that the Archpriestess is keenly aware Maria Castle was the one thing that kept Frank from being what it was that she knew he could always become. As we've learned, the Archpriestess has been keeping eyes on Frank Castle since he was a kid, even going back to what is supposedly his earliest kill at 10 years old, where she even offered him the knives that she offered him later on in Punisher number 1. She knew that Frank Castle would become the most prolific of killers in the Marvel Comics universe, and the only thing that really seemed to tame him was Maria Castle. Love was the one thing that could keep him from achieving his Punisher greatness. And not even just Maria, but also his close personal friends. And really the only one that we know of at this particular point during his earliest days was a guy by the name of Stedman Sternberger, a kid that Frank Castle saved from getting picked on when they were in school together. Yet another person that kind of posed as an obstacle for him to achieve the greatness that he would ultimately become. An obstacle that was eventually removed, no different different than Maria Castle was years later. Now, one of the other things going on with Punisher right now is that he's also at war with the god of war himself, Ares. The Greek god of war Ares has a vested interest in Frank Castle. He is, for all intents and purposes, one of Frank's greatest warriors, one of his greatest accomplishments. He is someone who admires the Punisher's handiwork because the Punisher's war on crime is the war that never ends. It's a war that Frank will fight till the very end of his days, and we all know how gods feed off power and belief. And while Frank Castle doesn't worship the god of war Ares, the idea that Frank is going out there every night and waging war is what gives the god of war power because of the nature of how people believe in him and the dominion he has over violence and war. So of course, he would be a little thrown off by the fact that Frank Castle is now working for the Hand and seemingly not even carrying out his own war on crime anymore, but yet sending out ninjas to do it for him. Not only that, but Ares is kind of the commentary on the Marvel Comics readership. I won't even say readership because a lot of the people who I think complained about Frank Castle no longer wearing the patented Punisher skull, I think a lot of those people weren't ever really actually reading Punisher comics. I'm just gonna be real with you. I feel like they were just a very vocal minority. But Ares is kind of a commentary on that, and he wants Frank to go back to his old ways, even donning Frank's old Punisher logo. Frank has to take down Ares. This is pretty much his challenge. This is his test in his campaign to lead the Hand in the way that the Hand want him to lead them. But the thing is, Frank isn't at the height of the power that he has to be at in order to take down the God of War. Yes, he has achieved some of the gifts of the beast. He has the eyes of the beast that allow him to see the sins and violence and murders and killings that a person has committed, even without them telling him anything. And he also has been able to channel the fire of the beast, as well as the superhuman strength, agility, speed, and stamina of the beast. But none of this is really a match for Ares because, as Ares has even pointed out to the Archpriestess and even to Frank himself, the beast is not really a god, especially not one that can command power on the level that the God of War can. Ares wants Frank to go back to the old school Punisher, kicking down doors, pulling out M16s and machine guns and all this other stuff, not relying on Leaf Village weaponry to try and take down the criminals of the Marvel Comics universe. He wants Frank to go back to brass tacks, go back to being the old Frank. This new Frank ain't it for Ares. He's tired of this Punisher who hides behind ninjas, and if he has to kill Punisher to get the old Punisher back, he's more than willing to do it. And Ares has finally discovered what hold the Hand have over him, and now that he knows what it is, he's plotting to go to the island and find his family. Now, as I said earlier, he probably won't be able to find them, at least not easily, because the Hand won't allow anyone to come there that they don't want to be there. But I have a feeling there might be a little loophole in there that Frank might turn against them. But the reality of the matter is that now Ares knows what the Hand is holding over him, his family. Right now, the Hand's hold over Punisher is the promise of his returned family. And if Ares destroys his wife and his children again, that would probably be the quickest way to get the old Frank Castle back. Now, truth of the matter is, Ares only really has to worry about killing Maria, because there's one thing on this earth that the Hand can't give Frank, and that is his children. The Hand is incapable of resurrecting children, and one of the reasons it's actually listed is that the Archpriestess says it's always difficult with children, especially ones who've been dead longer than they've been alive. Whenever they try to resurrect them, they always wind up coming back as these mutated flesh monsters. Something that hurts Frank more than just knowing that they're dead to begin with, the fact that he knows he can't get them back. And with everything that the Hand has been promising them, as it stands currently, it seems like there's no way for the Hand to give Frank the one thing he wanted more than just having his wife back. It also seems Frank has accepted that his children cannot be resurrected, because when the Archpriestess suggests that they can try again another time, Frank says, no, we're not doing this again. Not necessarily in terms of maybe let's wait a little bit longer. No, it seems as though he is completely disinterested in the idea of trying to revive them yet again, if there's even the slightest chance that they'll just be resurrected once more as these monsters. And when you think about the fact that Maria, while being resurrected, she has no complete full memory of the fact that she died before, but she does have memories of things that have happened in the past. She knows enough to know that Frank is her husband, that she's in love with him, that they have children together, that they had a life together, but she doesn't really remember everything. So I can only imagine that when they resurrect these children, even though technically the resurrections aren't working 100%, it wouldn't be that far out of the realm of possibility to discover that these children have memories of their life before and are fully aware of what's going on around them now, which would honestly make this entire deal even more harrowing for Frank Castle than what we even would have ever believed to begin with. Frank Castle is put into a position where he has to kill his own children, despite the fact that they were resurrected into hideous flesh monsters. It still is a harrowing experience for him, and one that in a roundabout way leads him to his confrontation, or at least his first confrontation after taking over the hand with Daredevil. This is a fight that has been long in the making for quite some time, and I promise you it's gonna get real interesting here very soon, because Daredevil has been on a collision course with the Punisher since it was first announced that Punisher was gonna be taking over the hand. And now I'm not saying that, oh, it was teased way back then. No, the hand is something that is always in Daredevil's rear view mirror, or at the very least in his orbit. If Punisher were to take over the hand, it was inevitable that Daredevil would wind up going against him at some point, and it was inevitable that Punisher was going to wind up going up against Daredevil at some point just the same, because they butted heads with each other so many times throughout the years. And we also know that recently, as of Daredevil number 3, which we now know takes place right before Punisher number 6, it's in that issue that shows us how Daredevil knows about the Punishers taking over the hand, something he had no knowledge of prior, which would lead us to believe a lot of other heroes in the Marvel Comics universe don't know that the Punisher is working with the hand. But anyways, if you want to know more about what's been going on with Daredevil and why he's gunning for Frank Castle as the leader of the hand, check out this playlist right here. In the meantime, let me know what you thought about Punisher number 5 and 6. Keep it plus ultra and sound off in the comments.